So as the Tinubu administration in Nigeria has reached its 1 year in office, stakeholders in the tech ecosystem are recalling on his campaign trail President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope campaign, focusing on 8 key areas, including economic growth, job creation, access to capital. He assembled his cabinet quicker than his predecessor and won praise for appointments. Now, Bosun Tijani, of course, an ecosystem insider as the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, was one of those appointments. Yet, after a year in power, Nigeria's tech industry stakeholders believe there's more to do. Now, Tinubu says, quote, I will not rate it Tinubu's government yet because a lot of the things that he has promised to do are still work in progress. That's Oniya, founding partner at the venture firm Future Africa, with the continual cramping down of fintech players in the economy and the global world adopting artificial intelligence quicker than we can imagine. How does Nigeria not get left behind? To put all this in context, we have a tech expert and CEO, Soft City Group, Dr. Stephen Oniya, who is with us on the exchange today. Dr. Stephen, thank you so much for being with us. So how would you assess the first year in office for the administration?
Okay, it's going to be hard to use to benchmark them by just 1 year.
Yeah.
Because particularly the ecosystem which we operate in, that's the technology ecosystem, is diverse, and we are going to be assessing them based on accessibility, affordability, and inclusivity.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 metrics under which we are going to measure performance. And we are one of those that believe it's quite early because they have a lot. Yes, they've been putting a lot of policy frameworks in place, but there's a lot more that needs to be done because digital prosperity is beyond just gearing the nation towards a digital economy. We need to be able to feel the pulse or the impact of this digital drive in terms of how accessible are these infrastructures, how accessible are they, how affordable are they, and how inclusive in terms of gender barrier, how inclusive are they. Those are the way we're going to measure them.
Is there any friction between the administration and fintech players?
No, there's no friction. I won't say there's a friction. There is more of, the fintech have played a cornerstone in terms of development of the ecosystem. The fintech industry, they've played a major role in terms of access to the financial ecosystem. So there's no friction with the financial players and the decision makers.
Yeah.
There's no friction at all.
Okay. I covered the Artificial Intelligence Summit hosted by Dr. Bosun Tijani and the Ministry of Digital Economy and Innovation. I witnessed a lot that was going on there. Where else would you say the ministry needs to try and, I guess, catch up with the Western world, if at all?
Okay. Pardon me to put this question in proper perspective.
Yep.
I'm one of those that believe we don't need to be playing catch-up. We need to pursue competitive differentiation and not competitive parity.
Gotcha.
We need to be able to position ourselves in a unique culture because this AI we're talking about, there's a science behind it. And that science is data-driven.
Yeah.
And it's until we position ourselves within the uniqueness of our cultural dynamics that we can now say we are now competitive globally. I don't believe we should play catch-up or try to do what they're doing in the western part of the world, but I believe we can position ourselves properly within the uniqueness of our home context.
Okay, so within that context then, where would you see AI playing a role in Nigeria?
Yes, well, AI is going to do a lot for us, particularly when it comes to education, healthcare, and finances. Because if you have, I've heard of cybersecurity AI. I've heard of a lot of AI implementation in healthcare where you can do remote diagnosis. Now, most of these things, we might say that it looks as if it's easily achievable, but they are not as close to us in terms of where we are as a country. All this remote healthcare, we can't do remote surgery yet as a country. I don't believe we are well positioned for that yet. But nevertheless, AI, we need to continue our drive. We've started well. And we need to give kudos to the efforts they made so far in terms of how they've geared the stakeholders together, how they've been able to position and sensitize the industry. Because if you look at the way we perceive AI in this country, we're not too much of we're not scaremongering part of we are embracing AI. We're not really promoting the fear, promoting the scaremongering going around. So we are positioning ourselves for excellence. And I think that's a good one for us.
All right. Now, as far as digitization of Nigeria's economy is concerned, how much improvement, I guess, in productivity and so on do you see a more digitized economy, providing or leading to for us?
Okay, there's a cornerstone of how you would measure the impact of any digital economic drive, and that's digital prosperity for the common man. digital prosperity. I am not one of those that celebrate the putting the infrastructures in place, the policy frameworks in place. That's your work. You need to do your work. What we want is impact. How can this common man on the street hold a low-ended phone and say, yes, I've gotten impact from this digital economy? How accessible is it? How affordable? In short, as a matter of fact, it's getting costlier to access good internet connection now, and it's how inclusive is it. I remember there was a report by World Bank that we have like 6 billion investment have come into Africa so far, and 2% of that is only from the women. So we need inclusive ecosystem. Those are things that will drive us to success.
Now, so you've laid the groundwork there. From your assessment, how much further does the improvement in the digital economy? How much more improvement do we need to see? I mean, is it about getting more broadband cables laid, or is it or more players being invited into the country in order to make affordability of, so how do you see that dynamic playing out?
I think stakeholder engagement is the first step. Stakeholder engagement, because it is one thing to provide this infrastructure, it's another thing to use it. Let me also reference a report by World Bank. 61% of the infrastructure we have in Africa are not being used. So it's one thing to have an infrastructure and be able to use it. That's where we come accessibility, affordability, and inclusivity. So for us, I think we have stakeholder engagement is very key, which is what they're doing now. It's very key. And I would need to take us from this engagement to awareness, where a typical person knows the value you can get from a digital economy. You know the value you can get from your devices and your smart and your PCs that is beyond just typing, beyond just Facebooking, or beyond just social media activities. You need to know there are assets that you can get from these devices, that there are results you can get from these devices if you do it right. And if you look at what they've been doing nationwide now, the training that have been going on, I'm one of those that believe this training is a game changer for us if they can get it right, because we've moved us from a massive scale of training where the whole country, we have a massive infusion of knowledge, and we're getting to a stage where these people will now go into the citizenry. They will infuse that knowledge, diffuse it into the community, and be able to give impact. I think we're on the right track.
Just to round off, how important is electricity to all of this in terms of basic infrastructure to make sure that this is riding on something constant?
Secure electricity supply is key to everything we are doing in this ecosystem. As a matter of fact, we are those that believe this ecosystem is nothing without electricity, because we are powered by gadgets. We are powered by devices. Even the supply chain network that coordinates the movement of all these devices onto distribution chain across the country, they are powered by electricity. We can't get anywhere without constant, secure electrical supply. Very important.
Dr. Stephen Oniya, I could have this conversation with you for the rest of the hour. I really appreciate your time, of course, from Soft City. Thank you for talking to us about what needs to happen for Nigeria's digital economy to move forward. Appreciate your time.